That is monstrous.
The world is abundant with hidden treasures, and recently, a 1,000-year-old time capsule was found under the Vatican.
A time capsule found last week, buried more than 130 years.
What's inside could be huge, so big it might even shake up governments. 1,000-year-old crypt.
And at the Vatican, a first for the faithful. Bones believed to be those of St. Peter, displayed publicly for the first time.
Bones believed to belong to St. Peter, the first pope, were found by accident.
Representatives of Israel's Department of Antiquities checked it out and confirmed that it was the remains of an ancient fishing vessel.
During restoration work at the Church of Santa Maria in Capella in Rome, workers stumbled upon 2 clay pots under a marble slab near the altar. These pots contained bones and had inscriptions naming not just St. Peter, but also 3 early popes.
The bones were found during an 11-year excavation under the St. Peter's Basilica that began in 1939. They were close to some graffiti in ancient Greek that was interpreted as, "Peter is here."
Cornelius, Calixtus, and Felix, as well as 4 Christian martyrs. The church, closed for 35 years due to structural issues, dates back 1,000 years. The discovery surprised Massimiliano Floridi, the deacon, who immediately notified authorities. Though the relics had been mentioned in old inscriptions in the church,
how could something so historically important just be forgotten?
No one had ever found them until now. The bones have been handed over to the Vatican for further study, but it's still too early to confirm whether they truly belong to St. Peter. A DNA comparison with bones already in the Vatican might offer some clarity. Like and subscribe right now, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. 2. Remains of Emperor Caligula's gardens.
That's the Temple of Castor and Pollux.
Exactly.
The discovery of Emperor Caligula's gardens in Rome gives us a peek into the lavish lifestyle of this infamous ruler. The find happened during construction for the pedestrianization of Piazza Pia, close to the Vatican, as part of preparations for the 2025 Jubilee year. Workers stumbled upon the remains of a large garden complex, hidden for nearly 2,000 years. The garden was uncovered on the right bank of the Tiber River. Archaeologists found a travertine wall, the foundations of a colonnaded portico, and an open space likely used for growing plants. These clues point to a well-designed and luxurious garden, fitting for someone like Caligula.
I believe that we were sitting on the steps that Caligula may have walked on. It's amazing.
3. The Baths of Caracalla.
Rome's Caracalla baths epitomized the wealth of the ancient Roman Empire. Built to welcome up to 8,000 people a day, the ruins of the vast structure are one of the Eternal City's top tourist attractions.
The Baths of Caracalla, or Terme di Caracalla, are one of Rome's most well-preserved ancient public bath complexes. Built between AD 206 and 216, during the reigns of Emperors Septimius Severus and Caracalla, these baths were a major social spot in ancient Rome and remain a popular historical site today. Covering about 33 acres, the baths could hold around 1,600 people at a time. The construction, which took 13,000 prisoners and 6,000 tradesmen working daily, involved over 21 million bricks and plenty of marble. The baths were heated by an advanced hypocaust system.
If you are here, you understand the function, the technology, and the greatness of the Roman architects.
With hot air circulating beneath the floors and walls. The baths weren't just about bathing. They had libraries, lecture halls, and places for socializing and conducting business. Lavish mosaics and sculptures, including the Farnese Bull and Hercules, added to the grandeur. 4. The Temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus. the Temple of Jupiter.
Baalbek is one of those places where you have different people over millennia building their shrines, their temples to their particular, gods or goddesses.
Optimus Maximus, also called the Temple of Jupiter Capitolinus, was one of ancient Rome's most important religious sites. Sitting on the Capitoline Hill, it played a huge role in Roman religious, political, and social life. Built around 509 BCE, right as Rome transitioned into a republic, it symbolized the city's new ideals. Tarquin the Elder started the construction, and his son, Tarquin the Proud, finished it, with the consul Horatius Pulvillus dedicating it. The temple was dedicated to the Capitoline Triad, Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. It had 3 separate rooms for these gods, with Jupiter's in the middle. Built in the Etruscan style, the temple had a large cellar and a portico with 4 columns.
Not even on the ground. So whoever placed them there in ancient times would have had to have raised them up to a height of about 20 feet.
Its roof was decorated with a terracotta chariot pulled by 4 horses. Politically, the temple was a key spot. Senate meetings were held there, and it was where magistrates made sacrifices before taking office. Triumphal processions ended there too. Though the original wooden temple burned down in 83 BCE, it was rebuilt multiple times, incorporating Greek styles while staying true to its Etruscan roots. 5. The Roman aqueducts. Roman aqueducts were some of the most impressive engineering projects of the ancient world, crucial for providing cities with fresh water and allowing urban centers across the Roman Empire to grow. The first aqueduct, Aqua Appia, was built in 312 BCE by Appius Claudius Caecus to bring water from about 10 miles outside Rome. It was a response to the city's growing population and need for a steady water supply. Over the next 500 years, Rome expanded its water system, building 11 major aqueducts. By the height of the empire, they supplied around 300 million gallons of water a day. The aqueducts were a mix of underground channels, bridges, and elevated structures. 6. Ostia Antica, well artifacts.
Death and burial was a big part of life in Ostia Antica, in any Roman city. In antiquity, the tendency in Greek and Roman cities was to bury the dead outside the city walls, primarily for sanitation purposes, but also because so many people are being cremated. That's the traditional way in which people are disposed of.
An excavation near the Temple of Hercules in Ostia Antica, an old Roman harbor town, has uncovered a collection of artifacts that offer insights into the religious practices and daily life of the people who lived there. This find is part of a bigger restoration project to enhance the archaeological site, located about 15 miles southwest of Rome. The well, around 10 feet deep, is in Regio Velar, Insula 15, a sacred area known for its temples and religious activity. Thanks to the water and mud inside, many objects from the 1st and 2nd centuries CE were well preserved. Among the items found were pottery, burnt animal bones from sacrifices, glass containers, marble fragments, oil lamps, and even wooden objects that have survived remarkably well. 7. Pre-Roman burials near Pompeii.
Fresh discoveries have been made in the ancient Italian town of Pompeii. Officials say an extremely rare Samnite tomb has been unearthed, which is believed to date back to the 4th century BC.
Archaeologists working near Pompeii have found some important pre-Roman burial sites, particularly those linked to the Samnites, an ancient Italic people who lived in the region before the Romans took over. These findings give us a better understanding of their burial customs, cultural influences, and social structures. The Samnites were known for their military skills and their role in shaping the Campania region. They were in Pompeii from around the 6th century BCE, until the Romans colonized the area in 89 BCE. At places like Fondo Azzolini and Porta di Ercolano, archaeologists found hundreds of graves, some lined with stone or tile containing bronze jewelry, pottery, and other grave goods that reflect the social status of the deceased. 8. The Arch of Titus. The Arch of Titus is a big, impressive stone arch on the Via Sacra in Rome. It was built around 81 CE by Emperor Domitian to honor his brother, Emperor Titus, and celebrate their father, Vespasian's victories in the Jewish War. This arch marks the win over Jerusalem in 70 CE and shows how Titus was turned into a god after he died. The arch stands about 50 feet high and is made from shiny Pentelic marble. It has cool decorations with detailed carvings. One side shows Roman soldiers carrying treasures from the temple in Jerusalem, like the seven-branched menorah and silver trumpets. On the other side, you can see Titus riding a chariot pulled by 4 horses, with the goddess of victory beside him. Inside, there's a carving of Titus flying up to heaven on an eagle, showing him becoming a god. 9. Bailo Claudia. Bailo Claudia is an old Roman town on the southern coast of Spain, near the village of Bologna, and about 22 kilometers from Tarifa. It was founded around the end of the 2nd century BCE and became important because it was right next to the Strait of Gibraltar, a key spot for trade between Europe and North Africa. Bailo Claudia was a busy port town known for its fishing industry, especially for making garum, a popular fish sauce in Roman times. The town grew a lot from the 1st century BCE to the 2nd century CE, with fancy buildings like a forum, temples, and baths. By the mid-2nd century CE, it started to decline, probably because of earthquakes and pirate attacks, and it was completely abandoned by the 6th century. 10. Făgăraș Fortress. Făgăraș Fortress is a big historic castle in the town of Făgăraș in Romania. It was first built in 1310 to protect against invaders and control trade between Transylvania and Wallachia. Before this, there was a wooden fort here, but it was destroyed by the Tartars in 1241. Over the years, the fortress was updated and expanded. By the 15th to 17th centuries, it was a strong, square castle with thick walls and 5 towers, surrounded by a moat that could be filled with water. This made it one of the strongest fortresses in the region. In the 17th century, it was upgraded with fancy Italian Renaissance designs by Transylvanian Prince Gabriel Bethlen. Later, it became a military base and lost its royal decorations. After World War II, the fortress was turned into a prison for political prisoners. Many people suffered there due to harsh conditions. Today, Făgăraș Fortress is a museum. You can see artifacts from different times, including Roman stuff, medieval weapons, and beautiful painted icons. 11. Porticus Minutia. The Porticus Minutia was a big, important building in ancient Rome, built around the 2nd century BCE. It was used mainly for handing out free grain to people, which was a big deal in keeping everyone fed and happy. This structure was set up by Marcus Minucius Rufus, a consul from 110 BCE. It was named after his family, the Minutia gens, and was located in the Campus Martius area, northwest of the Roman Forum. The building had 4 sides with lots of columns and was huge, about 150 meters long and 50 meters wide. Originally, the Porticus Minutia was used for various public events, like meetings and legal matters. 12. Herculaneum Scrolls. The Herculaneum Scrolls are a bunch of ancient papyrus scrolls found in the 18th century at a villa in Herculaneum, Italy. This villa was buried under ash from the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. which helped preserve the scrolls. They're the only complete library from ancient times that's ever been found, giving us a rare peek into old-timey literature and philosophy. Discovery and importance. The villa was dug up in 1752, and that's when the scrolls were found. They probably belonged to a rich guy named Lucius Calpurnius Piso, who was related to Julius Caesar. Finding these scrolls in the place they were originally kept was pretty amazing. 13. Roman sarcophagus. Roman sarcophagi are fancy stone coffins that were used a lot in ancient Rome, especially between the 2nd and 4th centuries CE. They were more than just places to put the dead. They also showed off the artistic, social, and religious values of the time. How they started. At first, Romans mostly burned their dead and kept the ashes in urns. But by the 2nd century CE, more people started being buried instead. This was partly because of ideas from the Etruscans and Greeks, who also used stone coffins. Sarcophagi were usually reserved for rich people because they were costly and made from fancy materials like marble. 14. Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall, built around AD 122, is a huge ancient wall in Britain that marked the Roman Empire's northern edge. Emperor Hadrian ordered its construction to protect against tribes in northern Britain and to control trade and movement between Roman and non-Roman lands. The wall stretched about 73 miles from the east at Wallsend to the west at Bowness on Solway. Soldiers from 3 legions, about 15,000 men, built it. The wall was originally around 10 Roman feet wide and 12 feet high in the east, but changed to a turf rampart in the west. It wasn't just a wall. It had small forts called mile castles, towers called turrets, and larger forts like housesteads and chesters for soldiers to live and work. 15. The Catacombs of Rome. The Catacombs of Rome are a huge network of underground burial sites used by early Christians, Jews, and pagans from the 2nd to the 5th centuries CE. These hidden tunnels and chambers were made because Roman laws banned burials within the city for health reasons. Early Christians, who didn't want to burn their dead, like the pagans, started using these underground spaces to bury their loved ones. The catacombs began popping up around the 2nd century CE, dug out by wealthy Christians who had land outside the city. They carved out tunnels and rooms in soft volcanic rock, creating a maze that could fit thousands of burials. Besides being burial places, the catacombs were also used for early Christian worship and communal gatherings. After Christianity was legalized in 313 CE, people started visiting the catacombs as pilgrimage sites to honor martyrs and saints. 16. Gold Roman ring. The Good Shepherd ring was a pretty important find from the 3rd century CE that gives us a peek into early Christian life. Found off the coast of Caesarea, Israel, among the remains of an old shipwreck. This gold ring shows a picture of the Good Shepherd, a symbol for Jesus as a caring guide for his followers. The ring was discovered by the Israel Antiquities Authority during underwater digs in December 2021. They were exploring for old artifacts and found this ring along with other treasures from 2 shipwrecks that happened around 1700 and 600 years ago. The shipwrecks were likely caused by storms, which helped preserve items like Roman coins, pottery, and figurines. The ring has a thick, octagonal gold band and a green gem with an image of a young shepherd carrying a sheep. 17. 2,000-year-old Roman mosaic in Cyprus. A 2,000-year-old Roman mosaic was found in Cyprus, and it's got everyone excited. This mosaic, which dates back to the 4th century CE, was discovered in the village of Akaki, about 19 miles from Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus. The mosaic was first spotted by farmers back in 1938 when they were working their fields. However, it wasn't fully dug up until recently. The whole project is part of a bigger push to find and protect ancient artifacts in Cyprus, a place with a rich history influenced by Greeks, Romans, and Byzantines. This mosaic is huge, about 11 meters long and 4 meters wide, and it shows scenes from chariot races. 18. Amphitheater of El Jem. The Amphitheater of El Jem in Tunisia is an ancient Roman building that still looks great today. Built around 238 AD, it's one of the best preserved Roman amphitheaters in the world. Back then, it was located in a town called Thestris, now El Jem. It was built under a local leader named Gordian, who later became Emperor Gordian III. This amphitheater was used for all kinds of public shows, like gladiator fights, animal hunts, and plays. The amphitheater is huge, about 148 meters long and 122 meters wide, and it could hold around 35,000 people. It's the third biggest Roman amphitheater after the Colosseum in Rome and one in Italy. Made entirely of stone blocks, it was built on flat ground with a clever system of arches to support it. It has 3 levels with fancy columns, and the seating was arranged so that important people got the best spots. 19. The Antonine Wall. The Antonine Wall is a big old Roman structure that marked the northern edge of the Roman Empire in Britain. Built around AD 142 under Emperor Antoninus Pius, it was meant to replace Hadrian's Wall and extend Roman control further into what's now Scotland. The wall stretched about 39 miles from one side of Scotland to the other, from Old Kilpatrick to Caradon. It was built to protect against the local tribes who didn't want the Romans there. The wall was built mostly from turf, on a stone base, and was around 3 meters high and 5 meters wide. There was a deep ditch in front of it to make it even harder to attack. Although the wall was meant to be a strong defense, it faced a lot of attacks from the local tribes. Because of this, the Romans left the wall and moved back to Hadrian's Wall around AD 165, not long after finishing it. 20. The Tomb of the Diver. The Tomb of the Diver is a cool special find from ancient Greece, located in Paestum, Italy. It dates back to around 470 BCE and is the only Greek tomb with original paintings still intact from those early times. Discovered in 1968 by archaeologist Mario Napoli, it's important not just for its art, but for what it tells us about ancient Greek life. The tomb is a small rectangular room made from big stone slabs. It's about 2 meters long, almost 1 meter wide, and just under 1 meter high. Inside, although the skeleton has mostly fallen apart, the paintings are still in great shape. The walls show a lively party scene, with people lounging, talking, and playing games. The ceiling is the highlight, showing a person diving into water, which gives the tomb its name. This diving image symbolizes the soul's journey from life to death, fitting with ideas about the afterlife from that time. 21. The Via Appia. The Via Appia, or Appian Way, was one of the most important roads in ancient Rome. It was started in 312 BC under a Roman official named Appius Claudius Caecus. At first, the road was about 132 miles long, running from Rome to a city called Capua. But by 244 BC, it was made even longer, stretching all the way to Brundisium, modern-day Brindisi, on the Adriatic Sea. This road connected Rome to southern Italy and Greece, making it vital for trade, communication, and moving soldiers. The way they built the Via Appia was impressive. 22. Erastus inscription. Discovered in 1929, the Erastus inscription is a Latin text carved into a stone pavement near the theatre in Corinth. The inscription was made to honor Erastus, a big shot in the city who paid for the pavement himself. The text says, "Erastus, in return for his aedileship, laid the pavement at his own expense. An aedile was a high-ranking official who took care of public buildings and festivals. Some people think this Erastus might be the same person mentioned in the New Testament of the Bible. 23. The Roman Fort at Vindolanda. The Roman Fort at Vindolanda is a cool spot near the village of Barden Mill in Northumberland, England. It was built around 85 AD and was a big deal for the Roman Empire's army. Vindolanda was set up to help the Romans control the northern part of Britain, close to what is now Scotland. The fort was along the Staingate Road, which helped the Romans move troops and supplies. The fort went through a lot of changes. At first, it was made of wood, but later it was rebuilt with stone, making it much sturdier. Vindolanda was used by the Roman army for a long time, up until around 370 AD. During this time, it was a busy place with soldiers and even local people living around it. Archaeologists have found many interesting things at Vindolanda, like weapons, tools, and pottery. One amazing find is the Vindolanda tablets, which are wooden writing tablets with letters and notes from around 100–105 AD. These tablets are the oldest written documents found in Britain. Do you think there's other stuff hiding in the Vatican the government might be hiding from us? What else haven't we discovered in Rome?